Sugar-free Dr. Pep. Never thought that was actually a thing, not gonna lie. You know what? It's alright. Just so we are aware, I am trialing some different settings on my camera today. Alright. It's about time, guys. And the last Beyond the Wall was supposed to be a single Beyond the Wall. It ended up being long in itself, so I didn't have time to include my half of the Beyond the Wall. So this is my half of the Beyond the Wall. Now, some of these will have had some sort of answer, at least a little bit, in the last video, because you guys asked some good questions, and I'm sure there will be stuff in here too that I want to talk about, and I haven't organized this at all, so I'm going to discuss it, and yeah, and attempt to get some coherent thoughts out, guys. This is probably going to be quite long. Prepare yourself. If you're wondering when the next The Walking Dead episode is going to be, it will be after this. The first point I wanted to get into, guys, in relation to the last episode, was the fact that Carol and Gabe would have confided in letting Negan out. Mission Kill Alpha. Now, I'm not sure how much Gabe had to play in. No, I'm sure he did. You know, he has been incredibly angry in this whole scenario. I'm sure there were conversations made. Now, honestly, guys, I didn't even know it was Gabe that let Negan out until someone told me. So I was still theorizing. I had theorized it was Carol. If you guys watched the end of that reaction, I said to you that I even went back in this book. There was a theory of mine that it involved Carol. And I think I even said, could it have been Gabe? No, I did theorize it was Gabe. You know what? I'm going to have to go back and watch my reactions, but I'm pretty sure I remember theorizing it could be Gabe because of everything they went through back at the Savior's compound. And I know this is what I said. I said Gabe would know that if that went to trial, that Negan would be killed. He probably worked that out. He knew that there were enough people that didn't like him. There were enough people that didn't share Rick's vision that... is why he said we need to sleep on it, because he knew that if he didn't do something that night, problems. And I'm sure Carol and him had confided in that together in some way, shape or form. So look, I theorized that both characters could have a part to play in it, so it's not like I was massively spoilt or anything, but like, yeah, anyway, the point is that they had some kind of cahoodles, but particularly Negan and Carol. Someone in the Discord pointed this out, and I don't, like I said, like they said, I don't know if this is what the writers intended, but there are a couple scenes where Carol is looking at paintings of Glenn and everyone, and in a sense that she probably feels a whole lot of guilt in wanting to let him out. The vengefulness and the hate for Alpha probably took over that, right? That's the crazy thing. She has worked with someone she considered an enemy. Now, it is also really important to remember, guys. I don't know if I'm remembering this fully correctly, but Carol was one of the only people that wasn't really present during the Savior's reign. She had a part in some parts, but for a lot of it, she wasn't there when they all got their heads bashed in, and for a lot of it, she was in her little cabin, right? So she didn't really have a massive part to play in it. So if anyone was going to let him out, it was probably going to be someone that didn't have that immediate image in their mind of him bashing people's skulls open, right? I know she would have felt angry too, but like, she wasn't a direct, how do I describe this? She wasn't there. So it does in a way make sense that she would be one of the people who could set that aside for the greater good of the community, which is what this whole vision is, to get rid of Alpha. Not to say it is the greater good, we'll get into that in a second. Yeah, the whole point is that Carol confided with Gabe to let Negan out. That is crazy. That is crazy. Now, Carol, for me, has been one of the most impossible to read characters because she's unpredictable. She has an unpredictable nature to herself now. Not so much in that, like, there's a lot of her that is predictable, like she's going to go after Alpha and she's going to lose her shit, and like there are things that you could work out, but a lot of the other stuff, like she's been gone a long time. You know, she wasn't around for a long time. She was out at sea. She has had her moments when she's just disappeared, and she's had a very interesting character arc, to me at least, in the sense that we don't really know where she is a lot of the time. We're kind of learning on the go. A lot of the characters we could sort of like piece together where they are because we've been around them this whole time, right? But Carol's one of the ones to me which she comes back and you're like, wow, like where does she stand with all of this? How does she fit in now? Because she wouldn't come back for no reason. We know that she always had this thing for Alpha. Admittedly, she didn't get her preferred method of killing her, but I don't think that's really what matters, you know. At the end of the day, she got what she wanted, and that's Alpha's head. I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not completely sure like how much Carol asked in that situation and what she asked him to do. If she specifically said, bring me her head, that kind of blows my mind that Negan did that. Like, obviously proof that she's dead, right? But let me be honest with you guys, Carol and Gabe enlisted Negan. I don't think Negan ever in his head went, I'm gonna do this for you, I'm gonna do this for the person telling me to do it. Fuck no. He wasn't thinking about Carol. He wasn't thinking of maybe a little bit about Gabe, but he was thinking more about the people that he directly cares about. I think he was thinking about Lydia, Judith, and this whole journey with Alpha and going through with this. I genuinely feel now like he was going through that journey with the intention of trying to draw her away from what he knew was coming, which was her trying to kill her daughter, or her attacking Alexandria, or her, stepping over that line. So it was only when he knew that Lydia was going to die when he decided to do what Carol had asked. Do I think that he would have done it if Alpha had some way turned her opinion on that? You know what? I don't think he would have done it then and there. I think he was literally deciding on the spot and testing her, and ultimately she failed that test. But yeah, the whole point is it's done now. Holy shit, I don't really know what this means now for Negan and Carol. I don't know what this means for Carol. Are people going to be aware that this has happened? That Carol's gone off on her own accord again to do this? Not that it's per se a direct bad thing in a lot of people's minds, but there may come a question in the future of, was this a stupid decision? Because now this whole entire horde is in the hands of Beta, someone perhaps less forgiving. I'm not even saying Alpha's forgiving, but someone who's less manipulative and more just barbaric. Like, are we looking forward to that? Yeah. I honestly, like, I've already sort of spoken about this in the previous one. I don't know what this means now for Carol. I don't know what she does now. What next? Now that she's gotten what she came for, what next? And she killed Lydia's mother. They literally had a conversation about it, like, that makes that whole scene even more powerful now. Do you guys think that Carol went to Lydia before it happened to try and gauge the whole... Do we think Carol considered Lydia? That's another good question. Do we think she thought about Lydia? And I think she did. I think her going to talk to her meant that she was thinking about it. She probably... You know what? That was probably one of the things that was holding her back slightly. The next point I sort of put down was that it was always Alpha's intention to kill Lydia. Ever since she left her, I'm telling you now, ever since the initial scene of her and leaving with Henry and all of that kind of stuff, a little seed probably planted into her mind. If I have to, I will convert her. I will kill her. I will get her to join the Horde. Because Alpha does everything for Lydia. Alpha literally is living and fighting in this world for Lydia. It all started from protecting Lydia. All of this started there, guys. All of this delusion centered around trying to keep Lydia alive. And yes, it's doing more harm than good now, but someone in a deluded state is not going to see that, and that is probably why Negan killed her. But the whole plan, like I said, like I theorized, guys, I don't know when I first said it, but I said just because Lydia's left doesn't mean this is over, because there is a fail-safe. If she genuinely considers the Whisperers peaceful, like they are them, then she would convert her. And that was the plan, and that's what switched Negan over. You know, poor Lydia, man. Lydia's outlook sucks. Like, Lydia grew up in a super abusive childhood, right? She grew up with no real family or home. She grew up moving from place to place. She grew up being whipped and forced to believe that these crazy things. She lost then the one person that she did fall in love with. She lost Henry. She then lost the kingdom, which was becoming her home. And like, every single person was abusing her, bullying her. She never felt welcome. Then she got forced to choose between her mum and this other life. She chose this other life. Now her mum is dead. Like, oh my days. Like, her life has been crazy. Now, I still hold some belief that Lydia may end up one day leading the Horde. And there is a part of me that thinks that she won't be able to adjust to this as home. It's been a long time already, guys, and she's still not there. And there's part of me that thinks if you grew up long enough in a world like this, maybe where you grew up is what they will consider home, period. Maybe that whole situation can look a lot brighter for her, like I said, with a different leader. Now we've got Beta to deal with. Another big problem. Negan's soft spot for kids was Alpha's downfall. I was constantly theorizing who was going to manipulate who? Who was going to be the one that faltered? Who was going to be the one that was bent to the other's will? Now, it never really ended up being that. It never really ended up being like direct manipulation or any of that kind of stuff, guys. Really, for me, what it came down to, it was going to be Negan's love for kids was going to be his downfall, or potentially what exposed him, or it was going to be Alpha's downfall and what killed her. Like it was really what it came down to. It came down to Lydia, and I kept worrying that, like, how long is Negan going to be able to let this continue? How big a line is he going to be able to step over before turns back and changes the way he thinks? And is it going to be something like Judith dying, or is it going to be something like Lydia dying? Like, what's going to send him over the edge? And I never really knew who was going to be the one to die in that sense. Do you know what I mean? When I wrote these, I didn't really think about what I was going to say, just what was coming into mind. What's coming into mind now is, you know what's crazy with Negan, right? I have a lot of dislike for that guy. I have a lot of issues with him, and we have a lot of history with him. But one thing I will say to you, which at first, way back when, I used to think it was all bullshit. The way he spoke to Carl and the nice act, and I used to think it was an act. I used to think he was just, I don't even know how to describe it. I never trusted it. I never believed it. I get now to season 10 of The Walking Dead, and I can tell you very confidently that the best thing about Negan's character is his care for kids. That's got to be the best thing about him, guys, is that he says he's got no emotion, and he says he doesn't feel anything, but you know what? I don't believe that. I think there was a big chunk of him that felt nothing, but there was always a little pocket in his heart for people that were children, innocent people. Like, there was a little pocket in his heart. He wasn't going to harm them, and that would upset him if something happened to them. That has to be one of the best things I find about his character, is despite the darkness and the second side to his personality for a very long time, that thing never wavered for him. And now if I ever rewatch it, I'm going to look at it and I'm going to find all those scenes, you know what, more heartwarming than anything, that he didn't, through all of it, he wasn't going to use the kids to get at us. He didn't use Carl to get at us. He didn't use any of the children. Isn't that crazy? He showed up on our doorstep and he ate dinner with the family, but he didn't take Judith away from Rick. He didn't take Carl away from Rick. He didn't lock Carl up. He didn't do any of that. You know, he could very well have done so much worse, and he didn't. And that will always be something that there is a part of me that respects about him. Look, Rick did some bad things. Negan did some bad things. Both of them will have people that hate them for eternity. You know what? They are both on different sides of the stick. But I respect Negan in the sense that through all of that, through everything Rick did, through everything that where we went through everything he felt he needed to do to protect his community and to be Negan, he didn't let kids get in the way. He did not stand over their bodies. And you know what's crazy as well? When Rick and Negan were fighting by that tree, right? The one thing that stopped Negan was the talk about Carl. Just looking back on it, even it upsets me because he really did sympathize with Rick. Despite hating the guy, probably still does. He sympathized with him. Yeah, I don't know how much I want to say about that, but it honestly has to be one of the best things about his character. I still haven't decided whether I like him. And the reason I tell you that is because obviously half of our experience with him is very bad and the other half is questionable, some good. So I think it'll be near the end of the series when I can tell you whether I like him or not. And I can give you my full verdict on the guy. And I'll have to rewatch it too. And I'm sure if I rewatch it, my view on Rick will change too. And you know what? Weirdly, I think my view on Rick will change in a way that I will perceive him as darker, and I'll perceive Negan as lighter, and bring them more close together. Isn't that crazy? Alright, the next part I mentioned on here was Beta now controls the Horde. I don't know how much Beta knows, but just for a bit of reference, Negan slept with his girl, Negan chopped his girl's head off, and now Negan is a direct threat to leading this herd. I don't know if Negan's going to stick around, but let me just say this. Beta's going to be pissed off. Let's not forget, they still have the power to overrun us. They still have the power to run through us. The more and more this goes on, the more I feel like where Michonne's gone is going to become crucial. And I say that because we're going to all flee to Oceanside. We're going to get pinned into Oceanside, and then we're going to have to leave to wherever this is. Build boats. I don't know how long it's going to take to move the herd there. Yeah, like honestly, we've got a pretty shit situation, to put it lightly. You know what's kind of crazy as well? This isn't weird. obviously this would never happen, but I'm thinking like, I don't know where this is coming from, but it's not like we can just gather our own herd and then walk it into theirs. Like, the herd isn't going to fight each other. I just had this vision of like us wearing the masks and drawing the herd and then everyone coming together and then the herd just going. But he controls the horde, and like I said, I think that this whole outlook now becomes incredibly dangerous with Beta and what Alpha did, and honestly, I feel like Alpha being around, it was terrifying. I felt like there was a very long-term threat there, but Beta always felt to me like a bigger punch, and I feel like he will go out with a bang. Fireworks, right? Fireworks displays don't usually last very long, but they are big. Alpha's more like a light show. You know, that shit takes its time. You know, that shit's... There ain't no fireworks that extinguish in that scenario. Beta is an angry character. He will be. Like, and then that brings my other question. That sort of like leads down, right? The next question kind of ropes in with this, and it's like, will Negan return home? Because does Negan now have a duty to try and stop this from happening with Beta? Does he have a duty to try and, like... You know how he was trying to whisper in Alpha's ear? Does he even try that with Beta? Or Beta literally throttle him? Because if Beta even gets a whiff that Negan did what he did... Oh my days. And I don't know what Carol and Negan have planned. Like, where does Negan go now? If Negan doesn't come back home and he doesn't stay with the Horde, he's not just gonna piss off. I genuinely don't know. I fear for his life if he tries to whisper in Beta's ear. Beta doesn't like that shit. That's probably the biggest and scariest question for me is like, is Negan safe? Is Beta just gonna like rain hell? We're nearing the end, the finale, right? We're on like, yeah, aren't we like a couple episodes away from the finale? That's got to involve Beta moving the herd. I don't know. Will Negan help us? Will Negan continue to have this facade and help Beta? I don't think Negan has any kind of power in this place without Alpha there. Maybe he's made some friends. Maybe people think that he is genuinely someone to lead them forward, but Beta's not going to stand for that. Do I think Negan would beat Beta one-on-one? You know what? Sadly, no. Unless it's like a surprise attack or something, I don't think many characters beat Beta one-on-one. Plus, every time he even gets into a situation, he just runs off. We've seen him run into the woods like 4 times. Okay, this question brings it once again back to Negan again. Like, this is a very Negan focus beyond the wall, because a lot of what we saw involves Negan. There was this point when I sort of said to myself, did Negan sympathize with Alpha, and was he giving her like a final chance? Or was it all just manipulation? Now, my gut's telling me that he genuinely looked at Alpha and he understood her. He felt bad for her. I mean, he was even like... I swear there was a scene that he was almost like relating her to his wife. I think he sees a very strong and powerful woman who cares about his daughter but has been misled, misguided, and has lost her way. And I think Negan has come across a lot of people that have lost their way. I think he even thinks he lost his way. And I think Negan being Negan, you know what I think he wanted to do? I think he wanted to save her. I genuinely think he wanted to save her. I think he was falling for Alpha in a weird way. I think he saw her as a powerful woman who did feel things, but lost the way to express them. And the alter ego of Alpha, sound familiar? Alter ego of Negan had taken over to an extent when it was harming people she cared about. And I think Negan has realized in his time being locked up that Negan wasn't the necessity. There was another way, but he just couldn't see it. So he was giving Alpha chances, he was trying to sway her, he was doing her best to save her. But this sounds heroic, eh? The way I'm describing it, it sounds bloody heroic. I think he sympathized with her, I think he wanted to help her, and I think the ideal for Negan would have been Alpha surviving all of this. I don't think he would have gone through with killing her if it weren't for Lydia being threatened. Someone else he became pretty close to. I don't think he enjoyed doing what he did. I think a lot of other characters would have killed Alpha and not lost any sleep on it. You know what? I think Negan will be thinking about that for a very long time. He didn't do it for Carol. He didn't even do it for Alexandria. He did it for Lydia. He did it for Judith. He did it for all those people that he knew would suffer due to Alpha's delusion. Like, he kissed her, right? Even when she was dying, he kissed her. I don't think he wanted her to feel alone. I don't think he wanted her to feel like she was a villain. I genuinely think he tried to de-villainize her. He tried to see her as a human, which a lot of people hadn't been doing. He tried to understand her as a human. Like I said, not saying I agree with anything she did. I think the delusion took over, and I feel bad for her a little bit. You know, I do. I do feel a bit bad for her. When she died, I didn't feel happy. Like, there was a part of me, obviously, that felt a bit relieved, but then I didn't feel happy that it was happening. Like, I was honestly hoping that she would turn around and not kill Lydia. I don't even know how to answer that, man. Like I keep getting into this weird knot of trying not to come across like I'm sympathizing with her too much, or like I forgive her, because I know a lot of people like, as soon as I start to try and understand characters, people jump to the conclusion that I'm trying to forgive them. And that's not even remotely what it is. I just want to know why. I just want to understand. A lot of people say, oh, sometimes you just don't get to understand. Oh, okay, cool. Then if I don't get to understand, then I won't. But I'm still going to try, kids. I think Negan was trying to save her. But like I said in the reaction, some people are just unsavable. And I think he realized that. Like, there was no way he could save her and protect other people he cared about at the same time. Like, he had to make a choice. And what did I say in that same Beyond the Walk, guys? There are decisions that you make as a leader, as someone like Negan. There are decisions you make that don't have a win. It's not a win-win situation. You lose either way. Either way you are losing. It is more weight on your soul. It is a heavier weight that you're going to have to carry up that mountain. Honestly, I think that was one of those decisions, and I think that will take a toll on him. Also, you know what I think as well? I think he will feel horrible for Lydia too. This is a little extra note that I put in here, that Rick will never meet Alpha, which I find really, like, fascinating. What I will say about Rick, though, is this does set up this whole thing with Negan quite well, because I think Negan will eventually be invited back. I think he will start making a home here, and I think when Negan returns, there will be conversations with Rick, or not Negan, Rick and Negan. There will be conversations had about everything they've been through, conversations about how Negan saved Judith, and conversations about, you know, the lot. There will be conversations about it. You know, when Michonne went to see Negan after he was injured and after he saved Judith, and she almost, like, you saw a little, like she actually wanted him to get better? That's how I imagine it going. I see his whole perception starting to change and then begin to understand each other more. I think they understood each other's alter egos pretty damn well. I don't think they ever got to know each other as people, and I think we will start to see that. And you know what? That is probably one of the most exciting things I am thinking about this show. You know what? I don't even know if they ever see each other again. But if they do, I really want to see them start to get to know each other as people. Maybe even forgive each other, because they have both done each other a lot of wrong. I remember I used to watch and I used to think, like, we're, like, our group, like, we could never do anything wrong. We're not immoral, you know, we're just doing what we have to do. Now I look back on that and I think, Jesus Christ, everyone in every group will think that. Anyway, we don't need to talk about Rick, because Rick is still bloody absent. Damn, I'm on to the last point. I thought I had more than this. It's only been 35 minutes. Oh, it's still going to be 20 minutes Beyond the Wall. The last thing I wanted to talk about, guys, well, maybe the last thing, see if something else comes to mind, but is Judith. And that is because I felt like the last episode for her was a big one. We've seen characters before, young characters in particular, do things that they really struggle to come back from, and I think Judith is at a very delicate place now. Her morals are developing very, very well. She's not callous, she's not cold, she's practical, she knows what needs to be done if it needs to be done. We clearly see she's still emotional. There's no worry for me that she doesn't feel things. There's no worry for me that she will do things because she enjoys it. I think she has been raised phenomenally by Michonne and everyone around here, guys. I don't fear for her character ever going down a dark path, right? Honestly, I see her as almost like an epitome of right. You know how Carl went through his moments of going through a dark period? I can't even imagine Judith having that. We have been, as a group, since Carl, and Carl's message is still very, very valid, by the way. We as an entire group have been through this journey, and we have learnt from Carl, we have learnt from everyone. We've learned from our entire experience, and every single moral and ideology and thought, and all of it has been taught to Judith, or is being taught to Judith. So if anyone is going to be protected from the darkness, you know what? It is someone like Judith. Yes, you grow up in a world like this, it can really damage you. But I think we have had almost the perfect balance of protecting her, but then trusting her, protecting her, and then allowing her to develop in this world that we don't know. I think she's like almost the perfect depiction of that. But I just wanted to go across this because genuinely the last episode will have damaged her. She's not immune to being damaged as a character, just I think she's got a great toolset to come back from it. But we just need to be cautious now because, like, the last episode was dark. Like, she's only a child. We have to remember that she is only a child, and as much as I feel like other characters can carry the weight of that kind of responsibility, the reason I feel super protective over kids is because I think that to an extent they can't. Well, eventually they can't. If she is being forced to make decisions like that constantly, that's a weight, man, that's gonna sink people. But yeah, the only reason I wanted to bring that up is to just sort of say that we need to keep an eye out now. This is very important to me, and I'm sure to everyone, that we got to look out for her. I know we do already, but like, we are losing our homes. We are escaping. You know, everyone is preoccupied. Yeah. Anyway, do I have anything else I want to say, guys? Going into the next episode, we're going to deal with the aftermath of Alpha's death, I imagine. Maybe we don't. Maybe we skip to Michonne. But I think the whole trajectory of this season is going to be a Battle of Alexandria, and then it's going to be off to Oceanside, and then it's going to be a Battle of Oceanside, and then it's going to be over the sea. I don't know. Or we beat Beta. I don't see Alexandria getting out of this. But yeah, the last episode was very thought-provoking. We have gotten two big Beyond the Walls out of it to talk about all my thoughts, all your guys' questions, ready for the next episode. It would not shock me if we watched another episode of The Walking Dead and we need another Beyond the Wall. Thank you guys all so much for listening, by the way. Thank you so much. Let's wrap this up. If you enjoyed it as ever, don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe to the channel for new content every single week. And of course, Discord, guys, very, very important. If you're not a member, guys, consider becoming a member. You get early access to videos. Anyway, that's all from me, guys. As ever, this has been your boy Dan. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.